Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Vadhikamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. I'm able to appreciate that I am not the mind because I can witness my thoughts. But I'm not able to appreciate that I am not the body. When it is said that as I am aware of the body, therefore I am not the body, meaning that as clearly I recognize myself as a witness of the mind, so clearly I am not to recognize myself as a witness of the body. And therefore it's easier for me to know that I am not the mind, but not so easy to recognize that I am not the body. That is the question here. Is it because the awareness of the body is through the mind which I witness? So you are aware of the body, aware of every part of the body. You can go part by part and start with, say, toe of the right foot and then travel over the whole body and recognize that you are the witness of every part of the body. But I guess the identification of the body has become so habitual that it is difficult to own up the fact that I am not the body. Even in the mind also, the identification is habitual. Although I feel that I am the witness of the mind, therefore I am not the mind, that we are witness of the body also, because we are aware of the body. However you are aware of the body. Yes, awareness is only through the mind. So I am aware of the body through the mind, no doubt about that. So I am first aware of the mind, then through that I am aware of the body. So basically it is the mind that we always are aware of. Then mind takes the form of the object, that's why we become aware of the other objects. So our awareness of anything is through the awareness of the mind. That is true. But I am aware of the body even through the mind and even directly also. Body is very close. Prana is something that I am aware of. Prana, the breathing, is something I am aware of. So by focusing on that, I can make my mind see that I am not the body. So this will have to be practiced. Because that identification is so habitual. So Sharira is mentioned, even though by Sharira is meant both the gross and the subtle body. But what we immediately see and feel is this body, gross body. And therefore the identification is just habitual. And it is true that even if I see momentarily, I create a distance with the mind, or the body, it goes away because of my habit. So that's going to require a lot of practice to create the distance between myself and the body, myself and the mind. Even though the distance is there, because of the habit, the distance is almost not there. That identifying has become so habitual that the distance is, the gap is bridged. So it's going to require a lot of practice of being aware of the body, aware of the mind, objectifying body, objectifying mind. But then it is as easy or as difficult as objectifying the mind. Whether you objectify the body in the mind, that is immaterial, but we can objectify the body also through the mind. It is said that there has to be a changeless entity to know the changing body and mind. And that changeless entity is Atma. First statement is, for knowing the change, there has to be a reference. The reference should not change. For example, in the US, if you are speeding, all of a sudden that traffic patrolman comes, he just places himself before you. He says, sir, you've been traveling 85 miles an hour. So he fixed a point. From there, how long did it take for me to travel? From there he calculated that I am driving at 85 miles an hour. So to measure that change, there has to be a reference point which does not change. Ultimately, the fact that we recognize the world is changing, Shashvan Nashvarameva Vishwamakilam, the whole universe is Shashvat, constantly changing, perishing. And that is known through a reference point that does not change. And that is the self, it is true. The question is, but isn't the memory aspect of the mind register all the changes? Is it not the memory aspect of the mind that registers the changes? How did that... See, memory is connected with the past experiences. The changes that you are noticing are in the present. The sense organs only can perceive what is in the present. Eyes can perceive colors and form that are in the present. Ears can hear the sounds in the present. All sense organs can perceive what is in the present. Whereas memory is related to what was in the past, what I experienced in the past. So it is not right to say that memory registers all changes. Memory registers the past experiences through samskara. That's all it is. Changes are all registered by the mind in the present. Is that okay? Does that answer your question? Although by now I should know the handwriting, but still I found wishes. I think the right term is desires. Wishes, I find wishes, that is desires, as the biggest problem in my life. How to get rid of wishes or desires? How to stop desiring? And are desires a stimuli for life? So, she was saying today, Puja Swami began his talk. No, our friend was saying in Bangalore, began with a talk that to wish is a privilege that only human being enjoys. To desire. Swami used to joke that a cow does not tell the bull, "Dear, shall we go for dinner tonight?" That's not there. Human being has all these desires, ambitions. So we should not look upon desires as our enemies. Although Vedanta keeps on emphasizing, give up desires, give up desires, give up desires. I minus desire is. But we need not look upon desires as enemies. What we need to do is to manage the desire and not be managed by desires. If we are managed by desires, then desires are a problem. If we manage the desires, then desire is a privilege. Yes, a time will come when you will not need the desires. But the way to become free from desires to grow such that you become free from a need. We cannot simply get rid of desires as long as we are needy. So desire is an expression of an inner need. So as long as different kinds of needs are there, so long. Now, when the desire arises, which it arises on its own, then I have the freedom to decide what I want to do with desire. Do I want to fulfill the desire? Do I want to let the desire go? Do I want to resolve the desire? Do I want to reason with my mind and make the mind see that desire is not reasonable. But desire arises without asking for permission. Meaning that just as we do not know what the next thought is going to be, similarly also desire is something that arises. That's why a question is asked for the students of Vedanta, that when they talk of the sadhana chatushaya sampatti, viveka, vairagya, samadhi sampatti, mumukshutvam cha. What is mumukshutvam? Mumukshutvam is desire for moksha. A keen desire for moksha. You follow? Viveka, to discriminate between nitya and anitya. Vairagya, it is passion towards anitya. Samadhi shrika sampatti, that is how mind becomes tranquil. Mumukshutva is desire for moksha. How can desire be a qualification? Because it is not in my control to desire. Understand? Desire takes place. Is it not so? How can they present desire as a qualification? Qualification is something which I have the freedom to cultivate. So why do they say desire for moksha is a qualification? Yes, I want to desire. So desire doesn't take place because of my will. So what I can do with my will, that is where I have the freedom. So viveka I can do, vairagya also by will, understand the futility of enjoyments, etc. Shama, dama, all of these I can do. But how can I desire for moksha? How can desire be presented as a qualification? Oh, okay.
First three culminates into the
Hmm?
first three culminates into the fourth. The first three culminates into the fourth. It happens.
So since we have no freedom to desire, desire automatically takes place. So what kind of a desire will arise in my mind is determined by the disposition of my mind. In a tamasic mind, certain kinds of desires will arise. In rajasic mind, some other kinds of desires will arise. Rajasic mind, bhogecha, rajas. In sattvic mind, those kind of desires will arise. So what I can do is to create that disposition of mind where desire for moksha arises. I don't have freedom to desire, but I can create a disposition of mind where that desire arises. That's a sattvic disposition. So when it is said desire for moksha as a qualification, it means that we should cultivate a mind where desire for moksha arises. Until it arises, keep on working on the mind. Until that remains the only desire, theoretically. Our Swami used to say in Bengal, they cultivate fish in ponds, in the homes. So bigger fish swallow smaller one. Bigger, then that will be swallowed by a bigger one. How many will be left ultimately? One. That will be swallowed by? So desire for moksha is to swallow all the other desires. How? By recognizing that the desire behind all the desires is a desire for moksha. What is dearest to me is freedom. And what kind of freedom? Unconditional freedom. Freedom we enjoy now and then, but only when we satisfy a condition. I have freedom to do what I want, provided I follow certain guidelines, I have certain boundaries. In short, in whatever I can do, there are always boundaries. So we have freedom as long as we remain within those boundaries. I have freedom to speak as long as I am sitting here. Out there on the bank of the Ganges, I can't say these things, Will have no meaning. So we do enjoy freedom now and then, but freedom which is conditional freedom with boundaries. What we want is unconditional freedom, boundless freedom. We don't like the conditions put upon us. In Kailas Ashram you can get lunch if you get the chitti. So when you get parchi, when you attend the morning class, then you can have lunch. So that's the condition. Here also you must have seen in Bhandara, one of volunteers went on collecting the pink slips. That is the invitation that they have. And it is like, if you don't have that, they have the freedom to ask you to get out, leave. For Gopalanji Swami was no. This Swami won't do, but then so there is always a condition in everything that we can do. That I can eat, condition. What my stomach allows, what I am given, and various things. But what we want is unconditional freedom. And the freedom that we acquire is always conditional. And therefore that unconditional freedom must be that which is already acquired, which is my nature. And therefore I have love for that. Ultimately, what I love is my own self. The fact that I love happiness is because happiness is my nature. The fact that I love freedom is because freedom is my nature. So desire behind all the desire is desire for this freedom called moksha. That's the only way to swallow all other desires. By recognizing that the desire behind all the desires is desire for moksha. No, Swamiji, 12:30 I get hungry. I desire for food. Where is moksha there? I get hungry at 12:30. So there is desire for is moksha involved there? Some freedom is involved. I feel restrained because of hunger, I have to manage that hunger. The only way I can do is by eating food. So, some freedom is always desired. In every desire, there is a freedom from hunger, freedom from thirst, freedom from this, freedom from poverty, freedom from discomfort. In every desire, there is desire for some freedom. When I feel bound, restrained, limited, and there is desire to become free from whatever I feel is limitation. Whatever I feel. So, moksha ichha. That ichha is not something that we can will. It is something, as you said, that will take place when I analyze every desire and resolve them. That's how the only desire that will be left will be desire for moksha, because all desire, one desire alone appears before in various forms. Ravana had so many heads. You cut off one and then it reappears. And so thus every desire is a manifestation of one basic desire. To recognize that, then I'll realize that all I want is only moksha. Even when I want money, I want this, that, and what not, basically what I want is freedom. How did that discussion come? Huh?
Since desire cannot always be controlled, whenever a desire arises, if I go on a silent meditation, would that help resolve the desire?
Not silent. Silent meditation is always helpful, but not for this purpose. When desire arises, we have to ask our mind, mind, why do you want this? What do you seek to accomplish by fulfilling desires? Suppose the desire is fulfilled, so what will happen to you? If you really press the inquiry further, you will find that mind says, then I will want this one, or something else. Suppose you fulfill that, then it will want something else. So we have to confront the desire, understand the desire, that mind has some need, it's like a child, that its stomach is aching and it is crying and doesn't know what it is, and so similarly the stomach is aching and it comes out as all various desires, not realizing that the desire behind all desires is this desire. In short, we have to analyze the desire when it arises. Meditation is useful, but here what is useful is understanding the desire and recognizing whether it is worthwhile. Yeah.
Basically, it's asking, questioning the questioner. The question arising about the desire, and then you question it. What do you want? And that can shut up the, So
It is not questioning the questioner, it is questioning the mind which is desiring. O mind, what is it that you want through fulfilling this desire? It may be simple desire, it may be hunger, thirst, So two kinds of desires are there. One is desire that is centered upon non-I. Others are desires centered upon I. So desire, you are hungry, there is desire centered upon the stomach, not I. So all the desires, the worldly desires for food and drink and education, etc., these are all the desires for what is not there. They are genuine desires, and you can decide you want to fulfill or not.
basically I'm saying, because the mind is the one questioning that I want this. So you ask the mind, why do you want this? So then the mind has to think about why this question arose, what kind of desire it wants to fulfill. So by confronting it, you are kind of justifying, the mind justifying to you that why he needs this desire, or it needs this desire. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, but just for you to understand a little better, the desires are of two kinds. One is desire for what I do not have. Other is desire for what I think I do not have. So, Puja Swami's famous example of this man reading the newspaper one Sunday morning, and a friend comes along. So the reading glasses, he just pushes them up, talks to his friend. After a while, friend goes away, he wants to resume his reading newspaper. I can't read. Where are my glasses? He looks here and there under the newspaper, for 5-7 minutes he searches for his glasses and loses his patience. Where are my glasses? This is an daily affair. The wife hears, he doesn't respond. When that becomes too much, then she, what's the problem? She comes out. So where are my glasses? I don't know. She does not oblige. Then his son comes along, 10-year-old son. Beta, have you seen my glasses? What glasses? My reading glasses. The son is amused. Yes, Dad, I'll show you where your glasses are, provided you let me go to see the movies this evening. All right, you can go. Where are my glasses? They're right there. So desire for glasses was a desire for what is already there. It's two kinds of desires. Desire for what I do not have, and desire for what I think I do not have. You see, the glasses are desire for what I think I do not have. Not what I do not have, I think I do not have. So desire for happiness or that kind of desire? Desire for happiness is the desire for what I think I do not have, because happiness is the nature of self. That's why you have to check. Mind, what does you want happiness out of that? Then it's a different thing. You are hungry, you're thirsty, feeling cold, feeling hot, feeling feverish, then you go ahead and fulfill those desires. I want to be happy, then you have to question. But happiness is something that you cannot get, because nowhere else.
Puja Swamiji, Dayanandji used to say that the greatest freedom is freedom from fear.
Freedom?
Freedom from fear.
Huh.
So what is that fear, that basic fear? Is it death or something else?
No, fear is a different thing.
Because you were talking of freedom earlier, so in reference to that.
Freedom from fear is one of the freedoms that you are seeking. But freedom from
the fear of death.
being deprived,
Okay.
freedom from discomfort, freedom from deprivation, I don't have money, I don't have this, I don't have that. So it may be a sense of deprivation.
Okay.
Freedom from fear is one of those things also.
Then that means we have so many fears and
So many needs.
needs.
There are so many needs. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Ananda of Anandamaya Kosha and Brahmananda, are they the same? Ananda of Anandamaya Kosha and Brahmananda, are they the same? Are there different kinds of Ananda or is there one Ananda? Brahmananda. So basically Brahman is a source of any Ananda. Anandamaya Kosha, we already discussed that, is when I am absorbed in the experience of happiness. But I do not know that I am happiness. There still I retain the status of the enjoyer of happiness. A very subtle sense of enjoyment, enjoyerness. So Ananda of Anandamaya Kosha is the same as Brahmananda, not different. So Anandamaya Kosha is what you should understand. Anandamaya Kosha is that I am experiencing Ananda and do not know that Ananda is my nature. That I look upon myself as experiencer of Ananda. What is Kosha means? Ignorance. So even in that state of Anandamaya, there is still ignorance that I am Ananda. I still feel that I am the enjoyer of Ananda. So that is what makes it Kosha. Does that answer the question? Okay. One person writes his name, so I know. Turiyam or state closer to Turiyam, is it possible to share temporarily with others? How did this question arise? How is it possible? Turiyam is myself, in fact. Turiyam literally means Chaturtha means fourth. So first is waking, second is dream, third is deep sleep, fourth is fourth. Or Turiyam. It's like saying, in the class we gave the example that an actor acts as a king, then acts as a minister, then acts as a beggar. So how many entities are there? The king, the minister, the beggar, right? 3. And who is the actor? 4th. You follow what I am saying? The king is 1, the minister is other, the beggar is 3rd, the actor taking role of king, the actor taking role of minister, the actor taking role of a beggar. So how many do we have? King, minister and beggar, right? The 3. Is that right? No? That's the best to reply, smile, you know. Good, at least that makes us smile, that's good. They appear to be 3, but how many are there? So then the actor is the 4th. Is he really 4th? Or he is the only one? So Turiyam literally means 4th, but what it really means is the self, which is the only one who takes the role of a waker and then with the gross body takes the role of a dreamer with a subtle body, takes the role of the sleeper with causal body, who himself what? Devoid of all the three, asharira. Turiya means myself. So we can't share with anybody. You can pass on this knowledge, you can share your knowledge with somebody. Turiyam cannot be shared. You see what I am saying? Turiyam is yourself. Pratibimba-vada and avachcheda-vada. Kindly elaborate. It's like an examination paper, you know. Kindly elaborate. Not answer in short answers. Which one is correct or appropriate? Pratibimba-vada and avachcheda-vada. In simple terms, to explain ourselves, our sense of limitation, we feel a sense of limitation. Who feels? Atma feels. The limitless feels a sense of limitation. So there are these 2 ways of explaining, at least 2. One is the sun gets reflected in a container of water. When there is a reflection, it's called pratibimba. So pratibimba-vada is how the reflection is controlled by the reflecting medium. The sun does not control how the reflection will look. Who controls? It is the reflecting medium that controls how will my face look. I don't control, it is the mirror that controls. If mirror is convex, the face will look one way, it is concave, will look different way. So pratibimba or the reflection is determined by the reflecting medium. So that is a model or example given to help us understand the way we feel about ourselves. Who am I? I am the self, limitless, self-shining, self-existing, self-sufficient, like the sun. Then there is the bucket or a container of water where the sun gets reflected. So now comes the real thing. You think that the reflection is controlled by the bucket of water, the size, whether the reflection is bright or it is dull, whether the reflection is wavy or steady. What determines that? The water in the bucket. So who entertains the complex? We say, oh, he is the sun who looks at his reflection and says, I am this much. Not you and I looking at reflection, the sun looking at reflection. He says, oh, I am only this little one and I am wavy, I am dull. The sun looks at its own reflection and concludes as to what he is. So here the mind is a reflecting medium and the self is reflected in that. That's the model. And reflection is controlled by the reflecting medium. The mind is limited in every way. Therefore, I, the reflected one, the jiva, feels a sense of limitedness. That is due to mind of the reflecting medium. So thus to explain the way we feel about ourselves, namely sense of limitedness, this model, Pratibimba, is given to us. Other one is, I said, the space looks at the part and says, I am part space. That's called avacheda, meaning a space which is not reflected in part, but then limited by a part, conditioned by a part, circumscribed by the part. So there are two ways of explaining the sense of limitedness. It's a matter of preference. Which one is better? Depends on the situation, and there's generally it is reflection which explains it much better than even this avacheda. Because reflection can explain the sense of limitations, the restlessness, the dullness. This one can only explain the limitedness. But that the space feels dull, the space feels agitated, etc., can be explained only by the reflection. And that is most used model. But then there is a debate which is better, avachedavada, pratibimba-vada. In Panchadashi introduction there is a, Shastrat. And the Mahatma there, very learned, was proven that it is pratibimba-vada, that is the right one. It's a model, there's nothing right or wrong. What suits you better in a given situation? And so sometimes this avacheda may help the situation better, may explain, or pratibimba. But mostly it is pratibimba that is used, because that explains it better. See, very frank question. How to face the fear of old age and death? I have started having grey hair. And for some time I was comfortable with them. But recently, because of someone else's reaction on them, I became self-conscious and related it with being perceived as old. Now I started perceiving myself old because someone said you're old. I dyed my hair. But I know it's a lie. Conflict arises in my mind. One thought wishes, which is in favor of dying it, to hide from the fear, but the other judges it to be being a lie. Nothing wrong in dyeing your hair. And if that makes you better about yourself, you feel better about yourself by dyeing, you do that. What's the big deal? And you know that, but still when you look at yourself in the mirror, that image, reflection is, more satisfying than otherwise if that's the case. Go ahead and dye the hair, what's it? It's not a lie, it's a standard of fashion, it's a standard thing. Everybody knows anyway. Looking at the wrinkles on my face and color of my hair, most people will, I guess, find out, So sometimes the dark hair looks very unnatural. Because you recognize that the face and hair, they do not match. So it can be quite awkward, in fact, But it's up to you, how you feel about yourself, that is most important. And it is best not to be controlled by other people's perception about us. Although we do, a lot of things that we do is just to get approval from. That's the human mind, nature of human being. Always seeking approval. Because I have difficulty in approving myself. Therefore, always seek approval from others. And particularly, as Puja Swami, others, the significant others. Meaning that I seek approval from my father, from my mother, from my teacher, from the Guru, and from those who I think are significant. Their opinion about me is important to me. Other people, it's okay. And therefore, I always take care to make sure that their opinion about me is favorable. And I go out of way very often, bend over backwards to make sure that they feel good about me. They approve of me. And this game will go on the whole life. So we should recognize that a day should come when I start approving myself. Seeking approval of others is an unending and, it's a game that will never end. This person is happy, okay, says, oh, you look good. But other people say, hey, I can see that, because when you dye your hair, some little thing always shows up, because hair grows. And so some color, something will be seen here, and then people say, yeah. So it's up to you. But whether you dye your hair or not, for yourself, but generally we have to slowly become free from seeking approval of others. Because it's a never-ending game. This one approves, another one doesn't approve, that approves, and third one does not approve. So the answer is to approve myself. That will happen when I become good. When will I approve myself? When I am a kind, loving, good person. Therefore, our emphasis should be on being that person that I will automatically approve. I do not approve myself because I am young and that's what I think. But I will certainly approve myself when I find myself a kind, good, loving person. So become a good person. You will approve yourself, and whether others approve or not will not become very important to you. Vacation? Oh. In the temple, the priest first lights lamp. Also in temple, during a homa, ghee and other items are offered to the fire. What's the reason for fire being sacred in our culture and sacred to the seeker? See, fire is the first element that we see. Space is an element, air is an element, but we don't see them. First element that we see is fire. Therefore, fire is considered to be closest to the source, which is God. And that's how fire became symbolic of representing the gods. So it is not that we offer things to fire. The priest first invokes a certain devata in the fire. Just offering something in fire is what we do in the in the evenings in the Gurukulam children's program. What is it called? Campfire. So that is not campfire. It's not. He is not offered to fire. He is offered to the devata who is invoked in fire. So we offer to devata. And fire is the closest because first one that has form and that can be seen and therefore is considered closest to Ishvara. From fire the smoke arises, it says that it carries our oblation to the devatas. And I am sure these are simple reasons, but the sages know much more than this. I am sure that in fire and sun they see the divinity. It's not for nothing that all these are worshipped, that sun is worshipped, not just because it is, of course, it is source of energy, source of light, life, light, but it's much more than that. So sages who initiated worshipping this different thing had a, much more subtler experience about these things than what we may, even about Ganges. About Ganges also depends upon our sensitivity. For some it's just the flowing water, for some, so people feel, they feel sacred, they feel mother. Swamiji, when they started taking a dip in the Ganges, my feeling is changed. And so it is not just a flow of water, but depends upon our sensitivity. Everything is God, provided we develop that sensitivity. So people have different levels of sensitivity. Therefore, they feel differently about different things. And about Ganges, there are many, thousands of people in this area who just feel, not just say, they feel that it is sacred. Feel that it is mother. And there are some those who feel that it is nothing but the knowledge, the consciousness that is flowing. Some say that the roar of Ganges, they can hear the Vedas, etc. So not just imagination, but people's experience. And so all of these are considered sacred based on the experiences of sages who had that heightened level of sensitivity, and therefore they could feel that. Just as scientists tell us so many things now about little plants and little insects and little atoms, etc., which with instrument the sensitivity is developed, but then we can see what dimensions, what we see is one little thing, And how many dimensions the thing has? So, why do we call her mother? That's what you feel. You will also feel. Take a dip in Ganges for 6 months, I guess you will feel. What is the reason she represents knowledge? Because simple thing is that she originates from the matted locks of Lord Shiva. Shiva is the embodiment of knowledge, and therefore this is the flow of knowledge. Simple terms. But also lot of sages all lived in the bank of the Ganges, and so our Jnana Parampara also comes from there. So Ganges represents the Jnana Parampara also. Okay, all right. जगदोद्धारिणी माता दुर्गा जगदोद्धारिणी माँ जगदोद्धारिणी माता दुर्गा जगदोद्धारिणी माँ जागो जागो माँ जागो जागो माँ जागो जागो माँ जननी जागो जागो माँ जागो जागो माँ जागो जागो माँ जननी जागो 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 माँ जननी हे गौरी देवी रणचंडी देवी हे शिवरमणि जागो माँ हे गौरी देवी रणचंडी देवी हे शिवरमणि जागो माँ हे गौरी देवी रणचंडी देवी हे शिवरमणि जागो माँ हे हे शिवरमणि जागो माँ हे शिवरमणि जागो माँ जागो जगदोद्धारिणी माँ जागो जगदोद्धारिणी माँ जगदोद्धारिणी माता दुर्गा जगदोद्धारिणी माँ जागो जागो माँ जागो जागो माँ जागो जागो माँ जननी जागो जागो माँ जागो जागो माँ जागो जागो माँ जननी हे गौरी देवी रणचंडी देवी हे शिवरमणि जागो मां हे शिवरमणि जागो मां जागो जगदोद्धारिणी मां जगदोद्धारिणी माता दुर्गा जगदोद्धारिणी मां जगदोद्धारिणी माता दुर्गा जगदोद्धारिणी मां जागो जागो मां जागो जागो मां जागो जागो मां जननी जागो मां जागो जागो मां जागो जागो मां जननी हे गौरी देवी रणचंडी देवी हे शिवरमणि जागो मां हे गौरी देवी रणचंडी देवी हे शिवरमणि जागो मां हे शिवरमणि जागो मां हे शिवरमणि जागो मां जागो जगदोद्धारिणी मां जागो जगदोद्धारिणी मां जागो जगदोद्धारिणी मां ओम सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतङ्गमय ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः हरिः ॐ